interview Van Jones, who I know most of you are familiar with his work. Yeah, I was recently on a panel with him in Chicago when President Obama was running on energy. And it was Podesta, John Podesta, me, and Van. And so we're all in this panel talking about energy, and it's like 2,000 women, right? So we finish up, and by that moment, the news was already out that Podesta was going to probably head up the transition team. And so we get down to, and we're standing outside there, and we're all approached by people, okay? I'm approached by a group of people that are mostly moms that want their pictures with me and their daughters, right? Okay, so we're doing that. I look over, and Podesta's got all these people handing him resumes, all right, for jobs. And then I look over, and Van Jones has all these women giving them their phone number. Now, I know he's married, but it literally happened. He had like this trail of people after him. So that was it. But in an interview, Van Jones, who's the author, as you know, of The Green Collar Economy, discussed new energy jobs. And he said, quote, "When you think about the green economy, don't think about Buck Rogers. Think about Joe Sixpack putting on a green hard hat and going off to fix America. Think about Rosie the Riveter manufacturing solar arrays and wind turbines. This is especially, as you all know, important today, as we've seen an unemployment rate like we've never seen before. Yesterday, the president came and met with a few senators about this, and he talked about this changing unemployment and just the jobs just literally shrinking away from us, and how we just simply cannot put our heads in the grounds anyway, and that a major way, and his major focus out of this, will be this new green economy. The other thing to remember about this is just the hope. When you look back in history, and you look at what happened when John F. Kennedy said he wanted to put a man on the moon. It's always used as an analogy a lot in this area. But what I always say to people, you know, not only were we able to do this because we had a charismatic leader that called us to action. Yes, we put resources into it, but we had that charismatic leadership that caused to have this, I think, doubling, tripling of the number of engineering PhDs in this country. But think about what came out of that. You know, everything from GPS monitors, one of my favorite things because my husband and I don't have arguments when we drive then, to ultrasound technology, to digital wristwatches, to those little chocolate space sticks that my family would always take on camping trips in the 1970s. Those were things that came out of this call to action. And I believe that we can do the same thing with this new green economy by setting these standards in the law, by Washington finally getting up to the place where we should be with these state legislatures and governors that have been acting all over the country, these mayors, the citizenry. And Washington, as you know, for years has been just sitting on his hands trying to figure out if there's a problem. Well, that all changed. That all changed about 2 years ago, and I think that moment of change came at that hearing we had in our environmental committee when Al Gore came to testify. Barbara Boxer's got the gavel. Senator Inhofe starts badgering Gore, all these questions that really sort of made no sense, on and on and on. Finally, Boxer grabs that gavel and she says, "You know what, Senator Inhofe? You're not the chairman anymore. Elections have consequences." So we started the fight. We started the revolution in 2006, and now we've got it in 2008. Because now we have a Congress that's willing to act, and we have a president that wants to lead us. And that is the change as we look in Washington. Now, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? Well, the first, and I think Debbie did a great job, so I'm not going to go back through some of the things in this economic recovery plan that are so important. And as Dave mentioned, I have to go back right after this to fight that fight as we look at people trying to strip things that they think sound good. You know, they want to strip things about new green fleet of cars for the federal government, which is a long time in coming. They want to strip things that are, I really think, an old frame of thinking, that we need to move forward and do things that matter. But beyond that, I was very, very happy to hear the president this week talk to a group of us about the need to get that renewable energy portfolio standard in place. We were so close. Senator Bingaman and I had an amendment. We started at 25% by 2025. Minnesota already has that. We have one of the aggressive standards in the country, thanks to many of our leaders who are here today from Minnesota. Even higher for Excel, which has agreed to a 30% standard. And so Senator Bingham and I had an amendment to do that with the last energy bill. We couldn't get it through the filibuster. We even went down to 15%, couldn't get it through the filibuster. But guess what? There's a new Senate in town. So I am very hopeful that we'll be able to do that. The other thing that we need to do is to extend these wind production tax credits and the other tax credits for solar. You know, we did some at the end of last year, but we need to do that more. We're working on that with the stimulus package. We'll be working on it through the year because it's just been like a game of red light, green light for investment in wind and solar and other technologies. You look at what other countries done. We developed the technology here in our country, but we've been leapfrogged by Denmark and Spain and other countries because they have those long-standing policies in place, and it is time for us to do the same. I always like when people clap for tax incentives. It's a hard thing to get people going on, but you guys did it. The next thing, which you know is really the big lollapalooza, the thing we really need to do here, and that is putting in place climate change legislation. As I said, we started the fight last year, and now we need to continue it. Cap and trade, and I know people have different views on which way we should go with the carbon tax and other things, but cap and trade is starting to have general agreement across the world. I am very hopeful. Yesterday we stood, the Democrats on the Environmental Committee with Chairman Boxer announced our principles to move forward. We are very firm. We are united with the administration. We already had a number of Republicans on the last bill, and I'm very hopeful. Our plan is to get the bill out of committee by this year. I would like to even see it get through the floor this year. But one of the things, as someone who plans on being in Copenhagen, we have to have our clear policies outlined so we can start not following the rest of the world, but leading the rest of the world at the next climate change conference. So those are the things, just small little agenda for us to get done. And I know Debbie went through all the importance with the battery development and all the things that we need to do to get our auto industry up and running. She knows it better than anyone in the United States Senate. That's going to be a piece of this well. But I can tell you that there is a new group of people in the Senate that wants to move. They see this as a different thing, just like the Blue-Green Alliance. This isn't just some burdensome regulations. This is a way to produce jobs in the United States of America. And to stand up there like I did at that inauguration and sit up there and look at that sea of faces, 2 million people, and hear our new president who, young, literally holding the hopes of the world in his able hands, and to hear him talk about climate change and global warming and moving and putting that in his speech with Al Gore up with him at that podium, I think he sent a clear message to the United States of America and the rest of the world. I would end by this. As Tom Friedman, who, by the way, is a Minnesotan, proposed his Green New Deal, he said that the Green New Deal is one in which government's role is not funding projects as in the original deal, but seeding basic research and setting standards and incentives that will spawn all kinds of new technologies. That's what this is about. It's about getting the best brains into innovations that will not only give us the clean power industrial assets to preserve our American dream, but also, as he said, to give us the technologies and billions of others need to realize their own dreams without destroying the planet. Now, if you ever visit our office in Washington, D.C., I welcome you to do that. You'll see a picture that's hanging up on the wall, and it's a picture of an angel. She's holding the world in her hands and giving it to someone. And she says, and we gave the world to hold in our hands. And if we fail this time, she says, it will only be a failure of imagination. Well, I don't believe we can afford to fail. I believe this imagination is right in this room, and we now have it in the White House, and it's time to get it done. Thank you very much.